Okay, chapter 30. Further features of ecstatic love for Krishna. Confusion. There is the following statement in the Hamsadutta. One day, when Srimati Radharani was feeling much affliction because of her separation from Krishna, she went to the bank of the Yamuna with some of her friends. There, Radharani saw a cottage wherein she and Krishna had experienced many living pleasures. And by remembering those incidents, she immediately became overcome with dizziness. This dizziness was very prominently visible. This is an instance of confusion caused by separation. Similarly, there is a statement describing confusion caused by fearfulness. These symptoms were exhibited by Arjuna when he saw Krishna's universal form on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. His confusion was so strong that his bow and arrows fell from his hand, and he could not perceive clearly. Death. Once the Bakasura demon assumed the shape of a very big duck and opened in order to swallow Krishna and all the cowherd boys. When Krishna was entering into the demon's mouth, Balaram and the other cowherd boys almost fainted and appeared as though they had no life. Even if devotees are illusioned by any accidental occurrence, they never forget Krishna. Even in the greatest danger, they can remember Krishna. This is the benefit of Krishna consciousness at the time of death. When all is hated, the devotee can remember Krishna in his innermost consciousness, and this saves him from falling down into material existence. In this way, Krishna consciousness emerges from the material platform to the spiritual world. In this connection, there's a statement about persons who died at Mathura. These persons had a slight breeze. Their eyes were wide open. The colors bodies. These symptoms are prior manifestations of death. Laziness. When, because of self-satisfaction or dislike of excessive labor, a person does not perform his duty in spite of having the energy, he is called lazy. This laziness also is manifested in ecstatic love of Krishna. For example, when some Brahmanas were requested by Nanda Maharaj to circumambulate Govardhan Hill, they told him they were offering benediction and circumambulating Govardhan Hill. This is an instance of laziness caused by self-satisfaction. Once when Krishna, along with his cowherd boyfriends, was having a mock battle, Subal showed the symptoms of fatigue. Krishna immediately told his other friends, Subal is feeling too fatigued from mock fighting with me, so don't disturb him anymore by inviting him to fight. This is an instance of laziness caused by dislike of excessive labor. Inertness. In the 10th canto, 21st chapter, verse 13 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an appreciation by the gopis of the inertia of the cows in Vrindavan. The gopis saw that the cows were hearing the sweet songs vibrated by Krishna's flute and were appearing to be drinking the nectar of these transcendental sounds. The calves were stunned and they forgot to drink the milk from the milk bags. Their eyes seemed to be embracing Krishna, and there were tears in their eyes. This is an instance of inertia resulting from hearing the transcendental vibrations of Krishna's flute. When Lakshmana became disturbed upon hearing words against Krishna, she remained inert and did not move her eyelids. This is another example of a hearing. In the 10th canto, 71st chapter, verse 39 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an account of King Yudhishthira's bewilderment after his bringing Krishna into his home with the greatest respect. King Yudhishthira was very much bewildered by transcendental pleasure at having Krishna present in his house. In fact, while receiving Krishna, King Yudhishthira forgot himself. This is an instance of inertia resulting from the seeing Krishna. There is another instance in the 10th canto, 39th chapter, verse 36 of Srimad Bhagavatam. When Krishna was going to Mathura, All of the gopis were standing behind Krishna, and upon seeing the chariot leaving, they stood there stunned and did not move. They remained like that until the flag of the chariot and the dust thrown up by the wheels became invisible. Krishna was once addressed by his friend thus: My dear Mukunda, Krishna, due to their being separated from you, the cowherd boys are standing just like neglected deities in the house of a professional Brahmin. There is a class of professional Brahmanas who take to deity worship as a means of earning their livelihood. Brahmanas in this class are not very interested in the deity. They're interested mainly in the money they can earn as holy men. So the deities worshipped by such professional Brahmanas are not properly decorated, changed, and their bodies are not cleaned. They look dirty and not very attractive. Actually, deity worship should be done very carefully. The dress should be changed daily, and as far as possible, there should be ornaments. Everything should be so clean that the deity is attractive to all visitors. Here, the example is given of the deities in the house of professional Brahmin, because such deities are not at all attractive. The friends of Krishna, in the absence of Krishna, were appearing like such neglected deities. Just saying, our Panchatattva yesterday looked absolutely incredible, with the beautiful amounts of flowers and new ornaments, and all great variety of flowers. They looked absolutely amazing.
Peacocks are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Really gorgeous.
So they're not neglected deities like we were talking about here. Okay, Haribol. And next is bashfulness. Anyone else like to read?
Okay, I can read. Bashfulness. When Radharani she felt very bashful. One of her friends addressed her in this way: My dear friend, you have already sold yourself and all your beauty to Govinda. Now you should not be bashful. Please look upon him cheerfully. One who is sold and not make a miserly quarrel about selling the trident that controls the elephant. This kind of bashfulness is due to a new introduction in ecstatic love with Krishna. The heavenly king Indra, upon being defeated in his fight with Krishna for possession of the Parijata flower, became very bashful because of his defeat. He was standing before Krishna, bowing down his head, when Krishna said, All right, Indra, you can take this Parijata flower to show your face before your wife, Shachi-Devi. Indra's bashfulness was due to defeat. In another praise Uddhava for his various high qualifications. Upon being praised by Krishna, he bowed down his head bashfully. In the Hari Vamsha, Satyabhama, feeling slighted by Rukmini's high positions, the Raivatika mountain is always full of spring flowers. But when I have become for you, what is the use of my observing them? This is an instance of bashfulness resulting from being defeated. Concealment, known as concealment, or trying to hide one's real mental condition by externally showing another attitude. In this state of mind, one tries to hide his in different directions by unnecessarily trying for something that is impossible, or by using words that according to Acharyas, expert in the study of psychological activities, that hiding one's real affections are a part of ecstatic feeling for Krishna. In the 10th canto, 32nd chapter, verse 15 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Jugadev Goswami states, My dear king, the gopis were always beautiful and decorated with confidential. In their movements intended to give impetus to lusty feelings, they would sometimes press Krishna's hand on their laps, and sometimes they would keep his lotus feet on their breasts. After doing this, they would talk with Krishna. There is another instance of this concealment in ecstatic love. When Krishna, the supreme joker, planted the Parijata tree in the courtyard of Satyabhama, Rukmini, the daughter of King Vidarbha, became very, but due to her natural gentle behavior, she did not express anything. No one could understand Rukmini's real mental condition. This is an instance of competitive concealment, instance in the first canto, 11th chapter, verse 32 of Srimad Bhagavatam. After entering Dwarka, Krishna was received in different ways by different. Upon seeing their husband from a distance, the queens of Dwarka immediately embraced him within their minds and slowly glanced over him. As Krishna came nearer, they pushed their sons forward to embrace him. Others were trying, out of shyness, not to shed tears, but they still could not keep the tears from gliding down. This is an instance of concealment caused by shyness. On another occasion, when Srimati Radharani thought that Krishna was involved with another woman, she addressed her friend in this manner: "My dear friend, as soon as I think of Krishna the cowherd boy, a woman, I become stricken with fear, and the hairs on my body stand up. I must be very careful that Krishna not see me at such times." This is an instance of concealment caused by shyness and automatic behavior. It has been stated, although Srimati Radharani developed a deep loving affection for Krishna, she hid her attitude in the core of her heart so that others could not detect her actual condition. This is an instance of concealment caused by gentleness. Once, when Krishna and his cowherd friends were enjoying friendly conversation, Krishna began to address his associates in casual language. At that Atri was also enjoying the conversation, but then, remembering his position of servitude, Atri bowed down before his master and with great respect and control stifled his smiling. This subdued smiling is an instance of concealment caused by a respectful attitude. Someone else like to read on from there?
Yeah, we can read Mataji.
Right.
Remembrance. There are many symptoms of ecstatic love caused by remembering Krishna. For example, one friend of Krishna informed him, "My dear Mukunda, just after observing a bluish cloud in the sky, the lotus-eyed Radharani immediately began to remember you, and simply by observing this cloud, she became lusty for your association. This is an instant of remembering Krishna in ecstatic love because of seeing something resembling him. Krishna's bodily complexion is very similar to the bluish hue of cloud. So simply by observing a bluish cloud, Srimati Radharani remembered him. Even when he was not very attentive, he would sometimes, seemingly out of madness, within his heart. This is an instant of remembrance resulting from constant practice. In other words, devotees who are constantly thinking of lotus feet of Krishna, even if they are momentarily inattentive, will see the figure of Lord Krishna appearing within their heart. Argumentativeness. Madhumangala was an intimate friend of Krishna coming from a Brahmana community. Krishna's friends were mostly cowherd boys belonging to a Vaishya community, but there were others who belonged to Brahmana community. Actually, in Vrindavan, the Vaishya community and the Brahmana community, this Madhumangala one day addressed Krishna in this fashion: "My dear friend, I can see that you are not aware of peacock feathers falling on the ground. At the same time, you are unmindful of flower garlands that are offered to you. I think I can guess the reason of your absent-mindedness when I see your two eyes flying over to the eyes of Srimati Radharani, just like a black drone flying to lotus flowers. This is an instant of the argumentative suggestion in ecstatic love. Once, while Krishna was out walking, one of the associates of Radharani told her, "My dear friend, do you think that this personality is a Tamala tree? If he is a Tamala tree, then how is it possible for him to walk and be so beautiful? Then this personality might be a cloud. But if he is a cloud, then where is the beautiful moon within? Under the circumstances, I think may be granted same enchanting personality of Godhead, by whose flute vibration the three worlds are captivative. He must be the same Mukunta who is standing before Govardhan hill. This is another instance of an argumentative presentation of ecstatic love. The Tamala tree is always described as being the same color as Krishna, anxiety. The 10th canto, 29th chapter, verse 29 of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna asked all to go back to their home, they did not like it. Because of the grief at this, they were seeing heavy sighting heavy face appeared to be dried up. In this condition, they remained without making a sound. They began to draw a line on the ground with their toes, and with their tears they washed the black ointment from the eye onto their breast, which were covered. This is an instant of anxiety and ecstatic love. One of the friend of Krishna once informed him, "My dear killer of the demon Mura, your kind and gentle mother is very anxious because you have not returned home. And with great difficulty, she has passed the evening constantly sitting on the balcony of your home. It is certainly astonishing how you could forget your mother while you are off somewhere engaged in your playful activities. This is another instant of deep anxiety and ecstatic love. When Mother Yashoda was very anxiously waiting for Krishna to return from Mathura, Maharaj Nanda gave her this solace. My dear Yashoda, please don't be worried. Please dry your beautiful lotus like face. There is no need for you to breathe so hotly. I will go immediately to with Akrura to the palace of Kamsa and get your son back for you. Here is an instant of anxiety and ecstatic love caused by Krishna's awkward position.
Thoughtfulness. In the Vaishaka Mahatmya section of the Padma Purana, a devotee states that though in some of the 18 Puranas the process of glorifying Lord Vishnu is not mentioned and the glorifying of some demigods is offered, such glorification must be continued for millions of years. For when one studies the Puranas very scrutinizingly, he can see that ultimately Lord Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead. This is an instance of ecstatic love developed out of thoughtfulness. In the 10th canto, 60th chapter, verse 39 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an account of a letter to Krishna requesting him to kidnap her before her marriage to another person. At that time, the specific attachment of Rukmini for Krishna was expressed by Rukmini as follows: My dear Lord Krishna, your transcendental glories are chanted by great sages who material contamination, and in exchange for such glorification, you are so kind that you freely distribute yourself to such devotees. As one can elevate oneself simply by your grace, so also by your direction alone one may be lost to all benedictions under the influence of eternal time. Therefore, I have selected your lordship as my husband, brushing aside Indra, not to mention others. Rukmini enhanced her love for Krishna simply by thinking of him. This is an instance of thoughtfulness in ecstatic love, endurance. When a person is fully satisfied due to attaining knowledge, transcending all distress, or achieving his desired goal of life in transcendental devotional service to God, his state of endurance or steady mindedness is called dhriti. At this stage, one is not perturbed by any amount of loss, nor does anything appear to be unachieved by him. According to the opinion of Bhartrhari, a learned scholar, when a person is elevated to this state of endurance, he thinks as follows: I do not wish to be a highly posted government servant. I shall prefer to remain naked without proper garments. I shall prefer without any mattress. And despite all these disadvantages, I shall refuse to serve anyone, even the government. In other words, one is in ecstatic love with the personality of Godhead. He can endure any kind of disadvantages calculated under the material concept of life. Nanda Maharaja, the father of Krishna, used to think, in my pasturing ground, the goddess of fortune is personally present, and I possess more than 10,100,000 cows which loiter here and there. And above all, I have a son like Krishna who is successful in who is such a powerful, wonderful worker. Therefore, even though I am a householder, I am feeling so satisfied. This is an instance of mental endurance resulting from the absence of all distress. In other instance, a devotee says, I am always swimming in the nectarian ocean of the pastimes of the personality of Godhead, and as such, I have no more attraction for religious rituals, economic development, sense gratification, or even the ultimate salvation of merging into the existence of Brahman. This is an instance of the mind's endurance due to achieving the best thing in the world. The best thing in the world is absorption in Krishna consciousness. Anybody else would like to read?
Hare Krishna.
Sirumi?
How
Okay, thank you. Happiness. It is described in the Vishnu Purana that when Akrura came to take Krishna and Balaram to, just by seeing their faces, he became so cheerful that all over his body there were symptoms of ecstatic love. This state is called happiness. It is stated in the 10th canto, 33rd chapter, verse 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Upon seeing that Krishna's arm was placed on her shoulder, one of the gopis engaged in the rasa dance became so ecstatically happy that she kissed Krishna on his cheek. This is an instance of feeling happiness because of achieving a desired eagerness. In the 10th canto, 71st chapter, verse 33 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, when Krishna first came from his kingdom, Dwarka, to Indraprastha, the young females of the city became so eager to see him that even at night, when they were lying down with their husbands, they could not restrain their eagerness. Even though they were not properly dressed, and although their hair was loose or form, they still gave up everything and immediately went into the street to see Krishna. This is an instance of eagerness in ecstatic love. Indraprastha is the present-day Delhi. In his book Stavavali, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami has prayed for the mercy of Radharani, who was so captivated by the flute vibrations of Krishna that she immediately asked information of his whereabouts from residents in the Vrindavan forest. Upon first seeing Krishna, she was of and pleasure that she began to scratch her ears. The damsels of Raja and Radharani were very expert in talking cunning, so as soon as they saw Krishna, they began their talkings, and Krishna, pretending to go for some flowers for them, immediately left that place and entered into a mountain cave. This is another instance of eager loving exchanges on the parts of both the gopis and Krishna. Violence. Krishna was fighting with the Kaliya snake by dancing on his heads. Kaliya bit Krishna on the leg. At that time, Garuda became infuriated and began to marvel that simply by his thundering voice, the wives of Kaliya have had miscarriages. Because my lord has been insulted by this snake, I wish to devour him immediately, but I cannot do so in the presence of my lord, because he may become angry with me. This is an instance in ecstatic love as a result of dishonor to Krishna. When Shishupal objected to the worship of Krishna Suya arena at the sacrifice organized by Maharaj Yudhishthir, Sahadev, the younger brother of Arjuna, said, "A person who cannot tolerate the worship of Krishna is my enemy and is possessed of a demoniac nature. Therefore I wish to strike my left foot upon his broad head just to punish him more strongly than the wand of Yamaraj." Then Baladev began to lament like this: "O all auspiciousness to Lord Krishna, I am so surprised to see that the condemned descendants of the Kuru dynasty, who so unlawfully occupied the throne of the Kuru kingdom, are criticizing Krishna with diplomatic devices. Oh, this is intolerable. This is another instance of eagerness caused by dishonor to Krishna. Haughtiness resulting in dishonorable words. In the Vidagdha Madhava, Jatila, the mother-in-law of Radharani, began to criticize Krishna in this way. Krishna, you are standing there, and Radharani, who has just been married to my son, is also standing here. Now I know both of you very well, so why should I not be very anxious to protect my daughter-in-law from your dancing eyes? This is an instance of dishonorable words used to indirectly criticize Krishna. Similarly, some of the gopis once began to address Krishna with these dishonorable words. My dear Krishna, you are a first-class thief, so please leave this place immediately. We know you love Chandravali more than us, but there is no use in praising her in our presence. Kindly do not contaminate the name of Radharani in this place. This is another instance of dishonorable words cast upon Krishna in ecstatic love. There is another statement in the 10th canto, 31st chapter, verse 16 of Srimad Bhagavatam. When all the gopis came out of their homes to meet Krishna in the Vrindavan forest, Krishna refused to accept them and asked them to go home, giving them some moral instruction. At that time, the gopis spoke as follows. Dear Krishna, there is extreme distress in being out of your presence, and there is extreme happiness simply in seeing you. Therefore, we have all left our husbands, relatives, brothers, and friends, and have simply come to you, being captivated by the sound of your transcendental flute. O infallible one, you had better know the reason for our coming here. In plain words, we are here simply because we have been captivated by the sweet sound of your flute. We are all beautiful girls, and you are so foolish that you are rejecting our association. We do not know anyone other than yourself who would miss this opportunity to associate with young girls in the dead of night. This is another instance of indirect insults used against Krishna in ecstatic love. Would someone else like to read?
Yeah, I'll read. Hare Krishna. Envy. In the Padyavali, one of the friends of Radharani once addressed her thus, my dear friend, please do not be too puffed up, because Krishna has decorated your forehead with his own hand. It may be that Krishna is yet attracted by some other beautiful girl. I see that the decoration on your forehead is very nicely made, and so it appears that Krishna was not too disturbed in painting it. Otherwise, he could not have painted such exact lines. This is an instance of envy caused by rather God fortune. In the 10th canto, 30th chapter, verse 30 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the following statement. When the gopis were searching for Krishna and Radha after the rasa dance, they thus began to speak among themselves. We have seen the footprints of Krishna and Radha on the ground of Vrindavana, and they are giving us great pain because although Krishna is everything to us, that girl is so cunning that she has taken him away alone and is enjoying his kissing without sharing him with us. This is another instance of envy of the good fortune of Srimati Radharani. Sometimes when the cowherd boys used to play in the forest of Vrindavana, Krishna would play on one and Balarama would play on another. There would be competition and mock fighting between the two parties. And when Krishna's party was defeated by Balarama, the boys would say, if Balarama's party remain victorious, then who in the world can be weaker than ourselves? This is another instance of envy in ecstatic love. Impudence. In the 10th canto, 52nd chapter, verse 41 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Rukmani addresses a letter to Krishna as follows. My dear conquerable Krishna, my marriage day is fixed for tomorrow. I request that you come to the city of Vrindava. Without advertising yourself, then have your soldiers and commanders suddenly surround and defeat all the strength of King of Mada, and by thus adopting the methods of the demons, please kidnap and marry me. According to the Vedic system, there are 8 kinds of marriages, one of which is called Rak- Raksasa Vivaha. Raksasa Vivaha refers to kidnapping a girl and marrying her by force. This is considered to be a demoniac. When Rukmani was going to be married to Shishupala by the choice of her elder brother, she wrote the above letter to Krishna, requesting him to kidnap her. This is an instance of impotence in ecstatic love for Krishna. One of the gopis said, "May Krishna's sweet flute be washed away by the waves of the Yamuna and let it fall into the ocean. The sweet sound of that flute is so impotent that it makes us lose all composure before our superiors. Dizziness. Every evening at sunset, Krishna used to return from the pasturing ground where he herded cows. Sometimes, when Mother Yasoda could not hear the sweet vibration of his flute, she would become very anxious, and because of this, she would feel dizzy. Thus, dizziness caused by anxiety in ecstatic love for Krishna is also possible. When Yashoda had tied Krishna up one time, she began to think, Krishna's body is so soft and delicate. How could I have tied him with rope? Thinking this, her brain became puzzled and she felt dizziness. The gopis were advised by the bolt the doors at night, but they were so carefree that they did not carry out this order by rigidly. Sometimes, by thinking of Krishna, they became so confident of being out of all danger that they would lie down at night in the courtyard of their houses. This is an instance of dizziness in ecstatic love due to natural affection of Krishna. It may be questioned why devotees of Krishna should be attacked by the dizziness, which is usually considered a sign of the mode of ignorance. To answer this question, Sri Jiva Goswami has said that the devotees of Lord Krishna are always transcendental to all modes of material nature. When they feel dizziness or go to sleep, they are not considered to be sleeping under the modes of nature, but are accepted as being in a trance of devotional service. There is an authoritative statement in the Garuda Purana about mystic yogis who are under the direct of shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead in all 3 stages of their consciousness, namely wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. The devotees are absorbed in thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, in thought of Krishna, they do not sleep. Sleepiness. Once Lord Baladeva began to talk in his sleep as follows: O lotus eyed Krishna, your childhood adventures are manifest simply according to your own will. Therefore, please immediately dispose of the stubborn pride of this Kaliya serpent. By saying this, Lord Baladeva astonished the assembly of the Yadus and made them laugh for some time. Then, yawning so hard as to make ripples on the man, Lord Baladeva, the bearer of the plough, returned to his deep sleep. This is an instance of sleepiness in ecstatic love, alertness. The devotee once stated, I have already conquered the mode of ignorance, and I am now on the platform of transcendental knowledge. Therefore, I shall be engaged only in searching after the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is an instance of alertness in ecstatic love. Transcendental alertness is possible when the illusory condition is completely overcome. At that time, when in contact with any reaction of material elements such as sound, smell, touch, or taste, the devotee realizes the transcendental presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this condition, the ecstatic symptoms, example, standing of the hair on the body, rolling of the eyeballs, and getting up from sleep, are persistently visible. When Srimata Radharani first saw Krishna, she suddenly became conscious of all transcendental happiness, and the functions of her different limbs were stunned. When Lalita, her constant companion, whispered into her ear the holy name of Krishna, Radharani immediately opened her eyes wide. This is an instance of alertness caused by hearing the sound of Krishna's name. One day, in a joking mood, Krishna informed Radharani, "My dear Radharani, I am going to give up your company." Upon saying this, he immediately disappeared, and because of this, Radharani became so afflicted that the hue of her body changed, and she immediately fell down upon the ground of Vrindavana. She had practically stopped breathing, but when she smelled flowers on the ground, she awoke in ecstasy and got up. This is an instance of transcendental alertness caused by smelling. When Krishna was touching the body of one gopi, the gopi addressed her companion thus: "My dear friend, whose hand is this touching my body?" I had become very afraid after seeing the dark forest on the bank, but suddenly the touch of this hand has saved me from historical fits. This is an instance of alertness caused by touching. One of the gopis informed Krishna, "My dear Krishna, when you disappeared from the arena of Rasa dance, our most dear friend Radharani immediately fell the ground, fell on the ground and lost consciousness. But after this, when I offered her some betel nut remnants, she immediately returned to consciousness with jubilant symptoms in her body. This is an instance of alertness caused by tasting. One night, Srimati Radharani was talking in a dream. "My dear Krishna," she said, "please do not play any more jokes on me. Please stop, and please don't touch my garments either. Otherwise, I shall inform the elderly persons, and I shall disclose all your naughty behavior." While she was talking like this in a dream, she suddenly awoke and saw some of her superiors standing before her. Thus, Radharani became ashamed and bowed her head. This is an instance of alertness after awakening from sleep. There is another instance of this. The messenger of Krishna from Krishna came from Srimati Radharani while she was sleeping, and Radharani immediately awakened. Similarly, when Krishna began to blow his on his flute in the night, all the gopis, the beautiful daughters of the cowherd men, immediately got up from their sleep. There is a very beautiful comparison made in this connection. A lotus flower is sometimes surrounded by white swans, and sometimes it is surrounded by black wasps who are collecting its honey. When there is a thundering in the sky, the swans go away, but the black wasps stay to enjoy the lotus flowers. The gopi's sleeping condition is compared to the white swan. and the sound of Krishna's flute is compared to a black wasp. When Krishna's flute sounded, the white swans, which represent the sleeping condition of the gopis, were immediately vanquished, and black sound of the flute began to enjoy the lotus flower of the gopis' beauty. Hare Krishna, someone please.
Chapter 31. Additional symptoms. All the previously mentioned 33 symptoms of ecstatic love are called vyabhichari or disturbing. All these symptoms refer to apparently disturbed conditions, but even in such disturbed condition, there is acute love for Krishna. These symptoms, however, can be divided into three groups: first class, second class, and third class. There are many disturbing symptoms in ecstatic love, such as envy, anxiety, pride, jealousy, conclusion, cowardliness, forgiveness, impatience, regret, doubtfulness, and impudence. These are included in the 33 conditions of ecstatic love. Srila Rupa Goswami has very nicely analyzed the different kinds of disturbing symptoms. It is very difficult to find the exact English equivalents for many Sanskrit words used here. His analysis will now be presented. When one becomes malicious upon seeing another's advancements of life, his state of mind is generally called envy. When one becomes frightened at seeing a lightning bolt in the sky, that fearfulness brings on anxiety. Therefore, fearfulness and anxiety may be taken as one. One's desire to hide his real mentality is called avahita, or concealment, and a desire to exhibit superiority is called pride. Both of these may be classified under pretension. In a pretentious attitude, both avahita and pride are to be found. One's inability to tolerate an offense committed by another is called amarasa, and one's inability to tolerate the opulence of another is called jealousy. Jealousy and intolerance. One's ability to establish the correct import of a word may be called conclusiveness. And before such a conclusive determination of import, there must be thoughtful consideration. Therefore, the act of consideration is present during the when one presents himself as ignorant, his attitude is called humility, and there is an absence of enthusiasm, it is called cowardice. Therefore, in humility, there is sometimes cowardice. Although the mind is steadfast, it is called enduring, and one's ability to tolerate others' offenses is called endurance. Therefore, forgiveness and endurance can be synonymous. Anxiousness for time to pass is called impatience, and when one sees something wonderful, one is said to be struck with wonder. Impatience may be caused by being struck with wonder, and so impatience and being struck with wonder can be synonymous. When anxiety is in its dormant state, it is called hankering. Therefore, anxiety and hankering can also be synonymous. When one becomes regretful for some offense, his feeling is called bashfulness. In this way, bashfulness and regret can be synonymous. Doubtfulness is one of the aspects of argument. After exhibiting impudence, one becomes restless. Therefore, restlessness and impudence can be synonymous. When all such symptoms are included in ecstatic love, or continuously existing ecstatic symptoms, all of these symptoms are transcendental, and they are exhibited in different ways, acting and interacting under different conditions. They are like the reciprocation of love between the lover and beloved. When a person is envious or defamed, there may be a change in the color of the body. This may be classified as vibhava or sub-ecstasy. Sometimes illusion collapse and strong anxiety are also considered to be vibhava. Many such symptoms they can simply be grouped together under static love. Srila Rupa Goswami says that fright, sleep, fatigue, laziness, and the madness of intoxication are sometimes grouped under continuous symptoms of ecstatic love, and they are due to strong attraction. False argument, determination, steadiness, remembrance, joyfulness, ignorance, humility, and unconsciousness are also different symptoms of ecstatic love. Dependence is also grouped under ecstatic love, and this can be divided into superior dependence and inferior dependence. The direct differentiation between superior and inferior dependence are ascertained by Rupa Goswami and will be presented in due course. One devotee exclaimed, "Oh, I cannot see the district of Mathura, even though by simply hearing the name of Mathura, the hairs of my body are standing up. I cannot see the place, so of what use are my eyes?" This statement reveals a strong anxiety to see the district of Mathura resulting from a strong attachment to Krishna. There's another instance of this strong attachment for Krishna expressed by Bhima when he began to murmur, "My arms are just like thunderbolts." But despite these arms, I could not smash Shishupal while he was blaspheming Krishna. Therefore, of what use are these strong arms? In this instant, Bhima became angry, and being influenced by such anger, his hopelessness became a cause for strong attachment to Krishna. This instant can be described as strong attachment for Krishna in anger. When Arjuna witnessed the universal form of Krishna whose dazzling teeth were practically devouring the very existence of the universe, Arjuna's mouth became dried up. At that time Arjuna forgot himself and could not understand that he was Arjuna, Krishna's friend, although he was always dependent upon Krishna's mercy. This incident is an example of inferior dependence. Sometimes ghastly activities also support strong static love for Krishna. This state of mind is called ecstatic fearfulness under illusion. In the 10th canto, 33rd chapter, verse 40 of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is the following statement by the Brahmanas who were performing sacrifices. "We have all been born in three advantageous conditions. We are in high Brahmana families, we have ceremoniously received the sacred thread, and we are also properly initiated by a spiritual master. But alas, in spite of all these advantages, we are condemned. Even our observance of brahmacharya is condemned." The Brahmanas thus began to condemn their own activities. They realized that in spite of being so elevated by birth, education, and culture, they still were under the spell of the illusory energy. They also admitted that even great yogis, who are not devotees of the Lord, are covered by the influence of material energy. This kind of hopelessness felt by the Brahmanas, who were performing ritualistic ceremonies, shows practically no attachment for Krishna. There is another hopelessness, however, which shows attachment for Krishna. When the bull demon attacks the damsel of Raja, they begin to cry out, "Dear Krishna, please save us!" Hopelessness with attachment for Krishna. And would Manu Prabhu like to read? So we could probably go for round two. Is there a lot more for this chapter?
I'm not sure. As you can see here, the cursor. Yeah, it's this much left.
Half? Oh, I don't see.
Yeah, will I
Sorry?
continue? Will I continue?
Continue then, yeah.
Okay. When the Keshi demon was assassinated by Krishna, Kamsa became hopeless. He said, "Keshi Daitya was as dear to me as my own life, but he has been killed by some coward coward boy who is crude, uneducated, and ignorant in fighting. Even though I have defeated the King of Heaven without difficulty, still I do not know the value of life. Because this hopelessness has a slight touch of attraction for Krishna, it is considered to be a reflection of ecstatic love in hopelessness. Kamsa once rebuked Akrura by saying, "You are such a fool that you're accepting a cowherd boy to be the supreme personality of Godhead simply because he has defeated some harmless water snake. The boy may have lifted one pebble called Govardhan Hill, but what is more surprising than that is your statement that this boy is the personality of Godhead. This is an instance of a maliciously opposing element caused by hopelessness in ecstatic love for Krishna. One devotee tried to console a Kadamba tree when the tree was lamenting because Krishna had not touched even its shadow. The devotee said, "My dear Kadamba tree, do not be worried. Just after defeating the Kaliya snake in the Yamuna river, Krishna will come and satisfy your desire." This is an instance of inappropriate hopelessness in ecstatic love for Krishna. Garuda the eagle, the carrier of Vishnu, once said, "Who can be more pure than I? Where is there a second bird like me, so able and competent? Krishna may not like me, he may not wish to join my party, but still he has to take advantage of my wings." This is an instance of hopelessness in the neutral mood of ecstatic love. The symptoms of ecstatic love are sometimes grouped under four headings, namely generation, conjunction, aggregation, and satisfaction. Krishna once told Radharani, "My dear friend, when you tried to meet me alone in the morning, your friend Mekhala, just look at her." When Krishna was joking with Radharani in this way, Radharani moved her beautiful eyebrows crossly. Rupa Goswami prays that everyone may become blessed by this movement of Srimati Radharani's eyebrows. This is an instance of the generation of malice in ecstatic love of Krishna. One night after the Putana demon had been killed, baby Krishna could be seen playing upon her breast. Upon seeing this, Yashoda became stunned for some time. This is an example of a conjunction of various symptoms of ecstatic love. The conjunction can be auspicious or inauspicious. That the Putana demon had been killed was auspicious, but that Krishna was playing on her breast in the dead of night with no one to help him in case of trouble was inauspicious. Yashoda was caught between auspiciousness and inauspiciousness. After Krishna had just learned to walk, he was going in and out of the house very frequently. Yashoda became surprised and said, "This child is too restless and cannot be controlled. He is incessantly going about the neighborhood of Gokula, Vrindavan, and then he is coming back inside the house. I see that the child is very fearless, but in spite of his fearlessness, I am becoming more and more afraid of his falling into some danger." This again is an instance of the conjunction of two opposing elements. The child was very fearless, but at the same time, Yashoda was becoming fearful of some danger. Here, danger is the cause, and Yashoda's feelings are in a conjunction of two opposing symptoms. In other words, Yashoda was feeling both happiness and doubt or growing fear. When Devaki, the mother of Krishna, saw her son very jubilant in the presence of the wrestlers in Kamsa's arena, two kinds of tears were simultaneously gliding down her cheeks. Sometimes her tears were warm, and sometimes they were cold. This is an instance of a conjunction of jubilation and lamentation due to different causes of ecstatic love. Once, while Srimati Radharani was standing on the bank of the Yamuna river in the forest of Vrindavan, she was attacked by Krishna, who was stronger than she. Although she externally expressed a disturbed mood from this incident, within herself she was smiling and feeling great satisfaction. Externally, she moved her eyebrows and made a show. In this mood, Radharani looked very beautiful, and Sri Rupa Goswami glorifies her beauty. This is an instance of ecstatic love, although the cause is one only, Krishna. Sometimes there were great festivals in the house of Nanda Maharaj, and all of the inhabitants of Vrindavan would assemble for these festivals. During such festivals, she might be wearing a golden necklace given her by Krishna. This was immediately detected by Mother Yashoda as well as by Radharani because the necklace was too long for Radharani's neck. At the same time, Radharani could see Krishna nearby as well as her own husband, Manu. So all of these things combined to make Radharani feel very much ashamed. And with her face shriveled, very beautiful. Haribol, can you hear me? Haribol?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, you can
Prabhu.
hear me.
Yes.
Okay. Somebody was trying to get through on the phone there, so I wasn't sure. So all these things combined to make Radharani feel very much ashamed. And with her face, she began to look very beautiful. In this case, there was a combination of bashfulness, anger, jubilation, and lamentation. This is an instance of an aggregate of symptoms of ecstatic love. Okay, yeah, there's some other person can read this.
Okay. Kamsa once said, "What harm can this boy do to me? He has no power." The next moment, Kamsa was informed that all of his friends had been killed by the boy. Then Kamsa began to think in perplexity, "Shall I go immediately and surrender unto him? But how can a great warrior do this?" The next moment he thought, "Why should I be afraid of him? There are still so many wrestlers standing to support me." But the next moment he began to consider, "This boy is certainly not common, because he has lifted Govardhan Hill with his left hand. So what can I do in this connection? Let me go to Vrindavan and inflict pains on all the residents there. But still I cannot even go out because my heart is trembling from fear of this boy." This condition of Kamsa's mind reveals an instance of pride, lamentation, humility, determination, remembrance, doubtfulness, anger, and fear. Actually, 8 different symptoms comprise the mental condition of Kamsa. This is another instance of an aggregate of symptoms in hopeless ecstatic love. One householder devotee once said, "My Lord, I am so wretched that these 2 eyes are never desiring to see the glorious city of Mathura. Therefore, my eyes are actually condemned. I am nicely educated, but my education has simply been used in government service. I have not considered formidable time, stronger than anything else, which creates and annihilates everything. To whom shall I leave all of my wealth and fortune? I am becoming older and older. What shall I do? Shall I execute devotional service from here at home? This I cannot do because my mind is being attracted by the transcendental land of Vrindavan." This is an instance of hopelessness, pride, doubt, patience, lamentation, determination, and eagerness, an aggregation of 7 different symptoms in ecstatic love for Krishna. There's a proverb in Sanskrit that says, "Disappointment gives rise to the greatest sadness." In other words, when one's sentiment or ambition becomes too great and is not fulfilled until after seemingly hopeless tribulation, that is taken as the greatest satisfaction. Once the cowherd boys in Vrindavan were vainly searching after Krishna for a long time, and for that reason their faces became blackened and their complexions appeared faded. Just then they could hear on the hill a faint vibration from Krishna's flute. It made them very much gladdened. This is an instance of satisfaction in the midst of disappointment. Srila Rupa Goswami says that the knowledge about the sounds and meanings and mellows of the symptoms of ecstatic love. He has tried to give some examples of different varieties of love of Krishna. He further states that the 33 disturbing symptoms of ecstatic love, plus 8 other symptoms, all taken together equal 41 primary symptoms of ecstatic love. These symptoms create transformations of bodily activities as well as movement. All of them can be accepted as different feelings of the heart. Sometimes some of the feelings are quite natural. Sometimes some of the feelings are just temporary appearances. Those symptoms that are very natural always remain both within and without the devotee. As one can detect the colour of dye a cloth was soaked in by looking at the cloth, so simply by understanding the different signs of these symptomatic feature, one can understand the actual position. In other words, attachment for Krishna is one, but because there exist different kinds, such attachment is manifested in many varieties. As clothing tinged red appears red, so the temporary appearance of a certain type of feeling can be detected or observed by the specific ecstatic symptom. In fact, all the different humors are those various specific feelings in the mind. And according to these differences, the symptoms of ecstatic love appear in different forms and degrees. If one's heart is highly elevated, brave and magnanimous, or if one's heart is rough and rude, different symptoms of ecstatic love will appear, influenced by the condition of the heart. Actually, people cannot generally understand such different qualities of mentality, but when one's heart is very soft, they become very easily visible, and one can understand them very clearly. The heart of one who is highly elevated and brave compared to gold. If one's heart is very soft and gentle, his heart is compared to a copper swab. When there's an ecstatic sensation within the mind, the golden heart or grave heart is not agitated, but the soft heart is. Someone else like to carry on?
To offer a grave, magnanimous heart is compared to a great city, and a soft heart to an insignificant cottage. There may be many lights or even great tea, but no one will take particular notice of them. But when such lights or elephants are seen near a small cottage, everyone can distinctly point them out. The hard heart is compared to a lightning bolt to gold and to shellac. The lightning bolt is very strong and never becomes soft. Similarly, the heart of those who are engaged in service, severe austerities and penances do not become very easily softened. The golden heart becomes melted at high temperature, and the shellac heart is very easily melted in slight temperature. A soft heart is compared to honey, to butter, to nectar, and the condition of the mind is compared to sunshine. As honey and butter becomes melted even in slight sunshine, soft-hearted persons becomes easily melted. Nectar, however, is by its nature always liquid, and the heart of those who are in pure ecstatic love with Krishna are by nature always liquefied, just like a nectar.
A pure devotee of Krishna is always specifically qualified with nectarian qualifications and sometimes with the qualifications of butter and honey. On the whole, the heart in any of the different conditions mentioned above can be melted under the certain circumstances, just as a hard diamond is sometimes melted by a combination of certain chemicals. In the Dana Keli Kaumudi, it is stated when love develops in the heart of a devotee, he cannot check the transformation of his sentiments. His heart is just like the ocean at the rising of the moon when the ebb tide cannot be checked. Immediately there must be movement of high waves. Although in its natural state the ocean is always grave and unfathomed rises, nothing can check the ocean's agitation. Similarly, those who are pure devotees cannot on any account check the movements of their feelings within. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
So many
There are so many ecstatic loves.
That was an interesting description on just in the second last page there. When we was talking about 41 different
41,
different types of of symptoms, 33 disturbing symptoms plus 8 other symptoms are taken all together equal 41 symptoms of ecstatic love. It just shows you how personal our philosophy is.
Yes.
You'd be talking about somebody's describing some of some mathematical or some physics or something. They're going into all the different qualities of things.
Yeah.
But it's all